Hello, and welcome to the BassandBigG.com Guntersville Grassroots Podcast. My name's Pat Kennemer. I'm here with my co-host, Trey Swindle. It's February, still kind of cold, and it's raining.
Still floating grass.
Still floating grass. We've got a lot to talk about. The last couple of weeks, we've had quite a few tournaments. We've got a lot going on. Got the Toyota Series coming up here tomorrow. Starts tomorrow. We have got a whole lot of winners and a whole lot of 20-pound bags that's going on the last little bit.
Which surprised me.
It surprised me, too. Trey just got back from Neely Henry, which had one 20-pound bag
and the rest of the field, you could add them all together, and it wouldn't have gotten to 20 pounds.
Yeah, that ABT is just a great outfit. Just a really bad timing on that tournament.
Yep,
apparently.
it was. And then the flooding didn't help it either. You know, it flooded the night before, and the water come up real high, got real muddy, so that didn't help it. But
there's a reason more people come to Guntersville than Neely Henry.
Absolutely. We'll get into that later, though.
Yeah, we will. So today we're going to have the one of the winners from the high school tournament, the Alabama Bass Nation High School Tournament that was Saturday before last. Fischer Barber is going to come on and talk with us. We're also going to have Captain Mike Carter a little bit later in the episode to discuss what's going on and what he thinks is going to happen the next couple of weeks, because things are going to change. The last 2 weeks hadn't changed a whole lot. And the water's still kind of 46 to 52, getting some color to it from the rain.
Yep. We might even ask him what he thinks it's going to take to win the Toyota Series.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you owe me a cheeseburger.
I do owe you a cheeseburger. And, I was hoping you forgot about it.
I haven't. I like bacon on my cheeseburger.
Okay, I can do that.
So the Rattle Trap tournament, we made a bet. Trey guessed, I think, 23.01.
Yep.
And I guessed 23.6, and it took 23.46 pounds. Yep. It was a guy named Cliff Broderick and Mike Inman, who I do not know and have not found anybody that knows. I found one of them. I couldn't get in touch with him. I believe he lives up in Tennessee. Gil Summerall and Willie Staten got second with 22.98. Those guys have won 2 or 3 of them.
Yep, everybody knows that group right there.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are sticks, particularly for the next month or two. I mean,
every Rattle Trap tournament there ever was, Willie Staten and Gil Summerlin, they're going to be, if they don't win it, they're going to be in the top 10.
Absolutely.
Every one of them.
Absolutely. Kind of like Johnny Patterson.
Yep.
And Johnny ended up 5th. Johnny was our guest on the last show. Johnny ended up 5th. And what's real interesting is Johnny and his partner, Brian Douglas, they've been fishing together forever. Brian's son, who is 20, I think I was talking to Brian at the weigh-in. Brian, he's 20. They got 10th with 21.5. So in that trap tournament, there were a dozen 20-pound bags.
And that surprised me because, I mean, I'm sure everybody knows if you live around here, really anywhere, it was cold. Oh, it was really cold.
It was cold enough that I chickened out.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about fishing it, and I just said, no, this couch feels good.
Yeah, I went for a few hours that Thursday afternoon and actually caught a few fish on a rattle trap. Looked at the weather, the guy that I was going to fish with, and I said, 23 degrees with a high 40 and that wind does not sound fun.
No, not at all.
So I opted out. Now, the guy that I normally fish tournaments with, he fishes this tournament with his nephew. It's Brad Weiss, and then the guy that normally fishes with me is a guy named Theron Livingston. We've been fishing together for probably 8 years. And they got third with 22.91 and said they caught between 30 and 40 fish. They had a stellar day. And Brad is just a little older than you. Brad's pretty good. And he won Angler of the Year in the Choo-Choo division last year, I think, in the BF.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did. And they're in the concrete business. They work together, so they, when it rains, they get to go fishing.
That's right.
But now
guys like that's who you got to watch out for because they don't care what the weather's doing. If they're off work, they're going.
They're going. No, that's exactly right. And look, they caught theirs, Main Lake, red clay, traps, grass edges. Some in 2 or 3 foot, some in 4 or 5. 6. But he caught them all day. Some red color, some shad color. So and some on a chrome.
Yeah.
I mean, can't overlook the old chrome and blue rattle trap.
That's right.
It doesn't matter what.
It's won money for years.
Doesn't matter what brand it is, But the high school tournament, they did pretty good too.
Yeah, they did. They surprised me.
That was the
because it was tough. It was tough fishing. I went out there a little bit, and I mean, I figured it'd take 18, 19 pounds to win, and taking 23, 31, for some high school kids, I mean, that's good.
Oh, yeah, and we're going to hear a little bit more from him today on I don't know what he's going to tell us. When I talked to him earlier today, I said, look, if you want to tell us where you caught him, that's up to you. But, just some information, how you practice, that kind of stuff that'll be, we thought would be useful. And you brought this up a minute ago. Second place in that is Brianna Arnold and Connor Clark. And you go, Brianna, that's a girl.
I was like, it's got to be. Yeah, I did some research, and it is indeed a girl. And they had 1966. So she must be pretty good.
And her name's first on the list.
That means she's the captain of the boat.
Well, we knew that was going to be the case anyway.
That's true.
But I learned a lesson a long time ago. The fish do not know if you're a girl or a boy in that boat.
Yep.
And it's kind of like whether you're fishing out of a flat bottom or a bass boat.
Yep.
And the fish don't really know that.
Yep.
So there was also a Bass Club tournament out of Browns Creek that same day. They only had 16 boats. They didn't quite make 20 pounds, but they had 3 bags that were a tenth, like 1986 one, and the next one was like 19.7 and 19.6, and they had a 9-pounder or 8.97 big fish.
Dang.
Those guys let me come tag some bass fish down there, which was nice. It was windy that day, but it was the day before the Rattle Trap tournament, and it was 55 instead of 40. So I got my lower end Browns Creek quota filled that day, with the exception of just a few, instead of having to go to the trap tournament and set up whole big tank and everything, and it being cold and so many people.
Yep.
So I showed up over there at the weigh-in, talked to a few people, tagged a handful of fish, and then just kind of kept on moving because it was cold. I ended up at the top of the river eating chicken fingers and shrimp.
That's right. That's right.
So, after that, we had the ABA Pro Tour out of Goose Pond. That was this weekend. Those guys caught them too, which makes me wonder what's going to happen in this Toyota series starting out. So, I mean, they had 20 boats, and they had on Saturday, and they had a 23.83. A guy named Joey Shelton and Wayne Christopher had 20.14, and then Jed Stedham had 20 pounds, and another guy, Nathan Hutchison, had just a hair under 20. I fished the lower end Saturday morning on my way there, coming from the Huntsville area to Honeycomb. There was some freezing fog. It was cold. The trees were glistening with ice all over it. And I'm like, what am I doing going fishing? It was just 7 o'clock. I waited for it to warm up a little bit.
Yeah.
The dock was like skating on ice. It was fun. The water was pretty good color. It was 46 in Honeycomb. The fish were not friendly. They pulled out, went to Allred's. I was by myself at the moment. Went to Allred's to put in. There was nowhere on the front part of it to park. Have you familiar? They got the overflow they added back in there, which is great. They did a great job with it. But if you're by yourself,
that's a long walk. Yeah,
that's a long walk. Yep. So I ended up driving around to Browns Creek. P.D. Vinson, that owns Bass Cash Bash, came into town and was here. He just hadn't met me yet that morning. He's from Louisiana. Anybody south I-10 doesn't even wake up till it's above 30. Yeah. So he said that the weather this past weekend was entirely his fault. 4 years in a row, every time he's come, he shows up in shorts, and then it's snow and sleet and 20 degrees, something like that. I said, well, that's Alabama in February. That's right. You got to play with a little bit of that practicing at Neely Henry too, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it was Friday. Yeah, Friday. We practiced, and it never got above 38 all day. And it was cloudy and blowing like 10 miles an hour out of the north. Like, we checked it at like 2 o'clock, and it was like 38 degrees. That's the warmest it got. I've never been that cold my whole life.
I saw a picture. Your partner put a picture of you with your feet up in front of a window or in front of an air vent on Instagram or somewhere.
Yeah, he got me up too early, and I wasn't prepared for it, and I didn't really think it was supposed to be that cold. So I just had like my dude's shoes and some ankle socks, and I put my bibs on. Well, like running down the water, like, it has nothing, and then I had sweatpants on, but they were joggers, so it don't cover your ankles. So my ankles and my feet were so cold. We took out and drove to the lower end of the lake, and like when I took my socks off, they were blue. And I said, turn this heat up. I had them. I said, I don't even care. You can smell my feet all you want, but I can't stand this no more. We got to the ramp, and I'm like, nope, we're going to stay here for about 10 more minutes. I'm just now starting to get feeling back.
Here's your general rule of thumb. you mentioned you put your bibs on. Mm-hmm. If you need those, you need more than dude shoes.
That's true.
You need boots and wool socks.
You're probably right.
I mean,
that was a rookie move.
Yeah. Well, you've learned a lesson.
That's right. I won't do that again.
You won't do that again. So there was also a wildcat some guys put on out of Mud Creek at my request. They've done it, I guess, 4 years in a row now, for me to go up there and tag some fish. The only bass cash bass fish that I had left to tag was way up. Mm-hmm. I have released fish from Crow Creek to Honeycomb now. Whether I tagged them at a tournament or picked some fish up at a tournament and carried them tagged, caught a few here or there. Very few. I haven't been much. It's been cold. Those guys did pretty good. They had 22.91. Jay Keith and Dwayne Lufke, if I'm not messing up his name. And then it was 19 and 18s. But man, they had a bunch of fish. I mean, something about upriver. Mm-hmm. And do you ever go up there?
I usually don't. I've tried to a little bit, but I usually stay down.
It's shallow and stumpy. It's different. I grew up fishing on that end of the river. Never go there anymore. Mm-hmm. PD came in from Louisiana, goes up there, watches this tag, and he goes, "Dude, why don't you come up here in February?" He said, "Because we always go to the other end, and it's just slow." And he said, "These guys up here catching 20 fish a day." Now, with a 360 boat Toyota Series field, which we're going to talk a little bit more about here in a minute, every ramp you went to was crowded. Mud Creek's ramp is about as big as this room that we're sitting in right now. Mm-hmm. And you can park 2 trucks. and if it's kind of like waterfront. If the wrong person parks crooked, then you park one. But they were parked up and down the side of the road. And when I pulled up, I was there 30 minutes before the weigh-in. And I looked out through there, and there was just boats everywhere. And I'm like, oh my gosh! But it had been like that from one end of the river to the other.
Yep.
But they brought me a bunch of fish to tag. Mm-hmm. I'm done.
You're fully done. All of them are tagged.
I'm fully done. I let number 200 go. Took a picture of it. Said, "Hey, this is the one I've been looking for." The boat and the truck are out there. We posted the truck release video last night. Mm-hmm. So for those that aren't familiar, the Bass Cash Bash is a 4-month-long event on Guntersville that I run on Guntersville. We've got it on some other lakes in Alabama. We tag 200 fish that have $1,000 tags in their back. Mm-hmm. If you buy the bonus T-shirt, it's a $1,500 tag. We also let a tag for a brand new truck and one for a brand new boat go. It starts March 1st, runs till July 4th. Mm-hmm. The deal is you have to be signed up before you catch that fish. Now, Trey, you caught one the first year, didn't you?
I did. I caught one the first year. I don't know if I think it was probably 3 years ago I caught it.
It was 2019. I think that was our first year.
Oh, was it? Okay, so it had to be. Yeah, that was the first year I caught one.
Yeah, 2019. Yep. And then that year we gave away a truck to a guy out of Guntersville, whose name just totally escaped me. I know him. I can't remember at the moment. He caught the truck tag on Easter Sunday, about 3 miles from where we let it go. And it was about halfway back to where it had come from because I actually caught that fish and knew where it had come from. So, but I don't know that it was. I don't know that one was going home. But I think it may have just found a new home. Mm-hmm. The next year, tell us a story, Trey.
Well, so the next year, I work at GTO at Waterfront right here in Scottsboro, and I had to go in at I think I had to open. I had to work early that morning. I got off at about 12:30. So my buddy was like, "Hey man, let's go fishing when you get off." I'm like, "Dude, I was like, man, I'm gonna be tired. I'm gonna have to get up at 2 in the morning to get to Scottsboro." I'm like, "Man, I'm gonna be tired." And he's like, "Let's just go." And I'm like, "All right." So he brought his boat up, and him and his stepdad came. He's like, "Hey, my stepdad Jeremy's gonna come with me." And I'm like, "All right, we'll all three go for a little bit." So I got off work and we went and jumped in the boat and we put in at Browns Creek and we fished. It was hot, summertime. I think it was June. And May or June 1. And he was like, let's just go try to catch some cranking on a big worm, stuff like that. So we went and we fished around. And it was kind of tough. And it got a little bit later that evening. I said, "Man, let's go check this one hole over here," which is now referred to as the boat hole, we call it. And a little backstory, Daniel is my buddy, and he had not caught one the whole time. I had caught 15 to 30 fish. Probably his stepdad had caught probably 10 or 15, and he hadn't had a bite.
Were you front-ending him?
I mean, maybe.
Okay.
But that's besides the point.
Okay.
So we he hadn't had a bite. So we pull up to this deep hole I found, and I threw out there with my swim bait, and I'm like, man, I had a bite. And I was like, throw right in there where I did. You know, it's a big school of fish. I said, just throw right in there where I did. So he throws in there, and he's like, man, I got one. And he threw over me, or I threw over him. We were almost tangled up, and I'm like, man, whatever you do, I don't know why I said this. Never will understand. But I said, man, don't lose that fish. I said, just don't lose it. He's like, oh, I won't. So I go over his rod and get untangled. He flips it in the boat, and I keep in mind, it's the first fish he's caught all day. And he's sitting there messing around. Man, I love this fish. I love you. Thank you for biting. And he's like, I'm going to give you a kiss. And he gives it a kiss, and he goes to throw it back. And he's like, hold on 1 second. He's like, that's a tag. And he's shaking so bad he can't pull the moss off the tag to read what it says. And he's like, man, read what this says. And I said, dude, that says boat. And he's like, no way. And he's like, he knows I'm the joking type. And he's like, I swear I'll kill you. Like, I will drown you if this is a joke. And I'm like, no, dude. And he's trying to read it, but he's shaking so bad he can't hold the tag steady enough to read it. And he said, tell me exactly what it says. And I said, it says B.O.A.T. And then it says the number to call. And I'd read off the number. And he's like, dude, you're lying. And finally he realized it. And we went to screaming. But the funny part it's not really funny at all, but he was the only one in that whole entire boat registered. So if I would, and it like, say if when I said I had that bite, say it was that fish, if I would have caught it, nobody would have won the boat. He was the only single person. His stepdad wasn't registered, and I wasn't registered. He was the only one, and he caught the boat tag.
I want to hear you say that one more time. I wasn't registered.
I was not registered.
Were you registered by the end of that day?
I was registered as soon as we went to turn the tag in.
And just so you know, we polygraph people when and Trey knows this, but winners take polygraphs to make sure that they're honest. Not that I would have ever expected Trey or any of those. 99.9% of the people out there are honest and would rather call you and go, hey man, I screwed up. I wasn't registered. So I've had a little bit of fun with Trey for the last year or so with that. Every time I'm seeing him, I'm like, hey dude, you going to register? Yeah. And I believe he responded that was a rookie move.
It was a rookie move.
I have, since we started talking about doing this podcast, I have been looking forward to having this conversation with you in this room.
I could tell by the way you looked at me when you walked in the door. It was that day. I was waiting on it.
It is. I was. I've been looking forward to really having that conversation, letting you tell that story. It's a really cool story because I started getting phone calls from y'all, maybe called Paul. And so Paul and Jana are calling me going, hey, the boat tag got caught, and they make a big deal out of it. Those guys have been phenomenal. Paul has more fun with this than anybody.
Yep.
And,
I mean, that video that we took, because we drove up there, and took the fish just because, it caught the boat tag. You could pull the tag, but he's like, no, I'm taking the fish. So we took the whole fish, and that video of us all standing in front of the boat telling the story, and it got like 20,000 views.
Yeah,
it blew up. Like it was just fun because some people catch, like, I don't know about the guy with the truck, but if you catch it and you're by yourself, it's still cool. But
he had his wife with him.
Oh, did he? But like, you don't get to enjoy it as much. So for all three of us, we're all like best friends, me and him and his stepdad. So for all three of us to be in the boat when he caught it was just awesome. I think I was more excited than he was.
Yeah, that's your ABT partner, right?
It is. Yep.
Yeah. Probably the nicest guy I've ever met.
He is.
Traveling nurse.
Yep. Yeah. Or he don't travel anymore. He works in Birmingham now, but he traveled for about 4 years.
Okay.
So now he kind of works at home and fishes all the time.
So the moral of that story is,
you better sign up.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. Because Trey,
I'm walking proof. I promise. That was the closest I've ever been to life or death situation, and I will never put myself in it again.
I'll be honest with you. I'm glad that he caught it versus you. I would have had a lot of fun with it, but I would have kind of been sad for all of you.
I don't know because.
That would have been a significant change. I mean, you make a boat payment, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
and so for me and for what I'm trying to do for a living, how expensive fishing is, and fishing in general, but fishing like the opens and traveling across the country, how expensive it is. Even if I kept the boat or if I sold it and kept the money, like that would have been a life-changing experience. It is for anybody, but for me, for what I want to do, so I'm just I'm thankful that he caught it and it wasn't me, because I would have never let myself live that down.
Oh no, there's
Never.
no doubt. And I'm kind of a walking testament to I'd rather be lucky than good.
Mm-hmm.
I won the Big Bass Splash in 2006,
Mm-hmm.
10 years later. So I won a boat, and now I had a guy fishing with me. We're my regular tournament partners. He's since passed on. Tim Brown, miss him every day. We sold that one, and it was an aluminum boat back then. That was several years ago. We sold that one and split what was left.
Mm-hmm.
They were split after tax kind of stuff. So in 2016, I won a draw prize boat at the Big Bass Splash. And that's lucky.
Yeah.
That's 100% lucky.
Yeah.
2006, I was fishing a lot. I'd been catching a lot of fish. It was in June, which I still wish it was.
Mm-hmm.
2016, purely luck.
Yep.
Almost didn't go. Almost didn't go to the weigh-in. I would have been that guy that was getting the phone call. Hey, where you at? Why aren't you here? Bob Seeley has a lot of fun. We'll talk about that some more here in a couple of weeks, getting towards the end of March when that's coming up. Since then, we had a little aluminum boat series only. The aluminum fishing series out of City Park was yesterday. 21 pounds. They won it. I think they had maybe a dozen boats. And then the Money Mondays Wildcat, which was supposed to have been on Monday, the people that run that had a work schedule change. They had to have it on Sunday. They had 15 boats and 16 pounds won yesterday. I can tell you, after having been out there for a while Saturday, between all the tagging and running around, I went to 9 different boat ramps. I launched my boat 4 times Saturday between the hours of 7 and 3, 4. But I traveled a lot, going to different places. There was people everywhere.
Really?
So it's the
It's
fish
crowded out there.
The fish are getting pressured. The fish are getting pressured. So, speaking of pressure, 200 plus boat high school tournaments, those kind of things. Let's see if we can get our guest, Mr. Barber, on to talk with us just a little bit. Fischer, are you on with us?
Here.
All right. Hey, I've got Fischer Barber. He was one of the members of the winning team of the high school tournament that went out of Goose Pond, the Alabama Bass Nation High School. It was on the 12th, I believe, Saturday before last. Fischer, tell us a little bit about Guntersville. What'd you do? Practice? Did you get to practice?
Well, practice was pretty slow. I did practice 2 days before and previously, a couple weekends before. We were catching fish, just not enough, and they were the right ones. We probably caught 2 or 3 over 3 pounds and shook a couple off. But I knew that the pressure and stuff like that was probably going to get to those fish just by where we were fishing. So yeah, it was pretty slow practice for us.
So, what'd you catch them on?
A-rig.
A-rig.
Every single one of them. A-rig. We were on probably our 4th spot of the day. Hadn't had a bite in 2 hours. And saw some bait on live scope, saw some birds, and we were like, we ain't got nothing to lose. Let's go over there. The first fish we caught was probably a 4-pounder. And it was probably a 100-yard stretcher bank, and just started throwing an A-rig down it, and probably caught 15, 16, 17 fish. Ended up with 23 pounds. So it was pretty, it happened fast, I'm just glad, it taught me a lesson, as in don't always stick to your practice, if you have a good practice or bad practice, you got to fish the moment. So that's what we did, and it ended up working out for us.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad you said that, because that's one thing, I'm still learning. A lot of times, even if you have a bad practice, that tends to be your best tournament finish. And that's good that you said that for all these other high school kids out there. Just because you catch a fish in one place in practice doesn't mean they're going to be there the next day. And if they're not there, my move, and I'm sure it sounds like, your dad or your partner's dad, whoever your captain is kind of teaching you the same thing, is, where are they going next? If they move, are they headed up to spawn, shallower? Are they going deeper? Or, whatever. So I'm kind of glad you touched on that. If you don't mind us asking, what school do you go to?
Heritage Christian Academy. It's a small school in McCalla. We probably have 3 boats, I believe, and 2 of them are high school, one of them is junior.
Mm-hmm.
But the other high school boat really tied up in sports a lot. So me and my partner Wells are usually the one out there fishing.
That's awesome. How old are you and your partner?
17, I'm a senior, and my partner's a junior. I believe he's 16. He might be 17. I'm not sure.
That's awesome. Is that y'all's first win?
Yeah, we've come close a couple times. I think we've had 7 or 8 top tens. We finished second one time on Eufaula. That was kind of a gut punch, but it's been a goal of ours all year. There's 3 really: to win one, to make it to state, and to make it to nationals. And God willing, we just got to fish this next tournament, and we'll probably have 2 of those knocked out and start just focusing on the natty.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
So when we talked earlier, I asked you if you were going to try to do college fishing, and you said you did want to go that route. So tell us a little bit about what your goals are there.
Yeah, so really, I know that college fishing is a huge learning experience, and that's really what I want to do. I'm keeping my doors open, all my options. I've looked at Auburn and Montevallo, but I'm still, a lot of options, and still looking. So anywhere I go, hopefully I'll just be able to fish, because I know that's such a crucial part in taking the next step right now, especially with how big it is and the connections you can make.
Sure. And 17 years old, you won a 200 and what did you say, 244 boats?
230.
230 boats, and you won. So you and your partner, it was both of you for sure. But
Yes, sir.
what area of the lake did you catch those fish in?
It was around Mid-Lake.
Mid-Lake. Yeah.
We started off upriver. We had one of our best spots, I felt like, even though it was pretty tough. We caught 4 fish, and only one of them was a 3-pounder. But then we moved down Mid-Lake when we found all those fish.
So was that grass related, or was it a deeper bank that didn't have grass on it?
Yeah, so it was definitely grass. It was a pretty steep bank, and it kind of ran into a ditch at the end. And that bait was just, I guess, the wind pushing around that point, and we had that big warming trend beforehand. And I think it just, those fish just grouped up right there. I knew coming into it, there's like 3 or 4 days of like high 50s, 60 degrees. And I was just thinking someone's going to catch them. But talking to some of our friends and stuff, that are locals, they were saying it was tough, and it was tough for us too. So, and I'm just glad we were the ones that caught them.
Yeah, Guntersville's definitely one of those lakes that if you just keep grinding, every now and then you just run into them. I mean, some days you don't, but and I guess Trey, you fish more places than I have. I mean, you run into the same deal. I mean,
it is. I mean, when you go to a tough fishery like that, and there's, a lot of times it depends on the time of the year. If the fish are headed to spawn or whatever. But when you go to a place that's fishing tough, you just got to keep your head down and fish. I mean, just block everything out. And it sounds like that's exactly what you guys did. And like I said, I'm glad. I'm not much older than you, but I'm glad to see that, in high school kids, just, don't give up on it. Just keep your head down and fish. And,
Right.
Me and Pat just want to tell y'all, congratulations. That's an awesome bag, especially for this time of the year.
yeah, I mean, there's only been a handful of Casey Martin's big bag, 2614 in that BFL is probably the biggest one I've heard of this year. The other one's, top 10 for the year already.
Yep.
I mean, and 23 pounds seems to be the winning number for the most part here right now. So,
And I'm glad you said that, Trey, because, when we started catching them, especially after you have a bad practice, we hit 15, 16 pounds. We're feeling pretty good. And my dad just keep fishing, because my dad's our boat captain. And we hit 20 pounds. I've never, brought in a bag over 20 pounds. And it was important for him to tell us, keep fishing like there's somebody behind you, like they got another 5 pounds on you,
Absolutely. I mean, that's awesome that you say that's the one. That's the main thing I've learned from my Uncle G is he's always told me, no matter what, just keep in the back of your mind, like even when you're practicing, is somebody's found more than you have. You're always behind. So you it's very easy, just like you said, when you've had a tough practice and you've already got 15 pounds on the boat, it's easy to just say, man, that's pretty good. We're going to be all right, and just be content with it. But to keep your head down and grind, and you could have very easily just gave up on it and been fine with 15 pounds and not caught another one.
That's right.
Always looking for that next 6-pounder.
That's right.
So your dad, you mentioned, is he a fisherman? Did he get you started in it? Is it something you got interested in on your own?
Well, yeah, no one in my family really fishes. I mean, my my granddads and my uncles would go down to the pond, and put on a worm for me when I was young. But I really got into it by a family friend after I was fishing our neighborhood lake when I was younger and just kind of fell in love with it. And a family friend had a real nice boat, took me out one day, and I was like, man, this is it. I got it made if I can do this. So since then, 3 years ago, we bought a 17.5-foot aluminum bass tracker. And it's just been a ton of learning. And that's what I love about it is everything's always changing. And there's always stuff to learn. And especially when you come in and you're up next to a guy with, like a $60,000 boat. Because at first, it's kind of intimidating because you're like, man, I don't really know what I'm doing. But just to have that confidence and finally win one feels great.
Hey, the fish don't know what kind of boat you're in. The biggest advantage you run into with a bigger, heavier fiberglass boat is certain weather conditions. If the weather's permitting, they don't know. It's just like we said a minute ago. We were talking about your second place finisher, Brianna Arnold, and Connor Clark. That's a girl. The fish didn't know there was a girl out there. Girls can fish just like guys can.
Yep, so, it's all between the ears is what it boils down to.
That's right. Well, they're probably smarter. The girls are probably smarter.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure they are. Us guys tend to be a little crazy sometimes.
Well, I have one more question. There was an accident out of Goose Pond that day. Somebody in your tournament knocked a motor off the boat. Are you familiar with that?
Ooh. I have no idea. I did not know that.
Did not know that. Okay, so it made it actually. I saw it somewhere on social media that day. I think they were down, below Goose Pond, somewhere around Mink Creek. Now, the story I saw said they hit a submerged log, which is extremely possible on Guntersville. We hadn't had a lot of floods lately, so they haven't been real bad, but it can happen. And the reason I ask about your dad in fishing, there are a lot. High school fishing's really gotten big, really taken off. There's a lot of people whose dads are not fishermen, not boaters, not familiar with the lakes that get out there that don't really know how to run around. So, I mean, there are safety issues that people have approached with us about, hey, these guys, they're out here running around, don't know what they're doing. Some of them. And have you seen much of that?
Honestly, I haven't. I know that when we started and still now, we've only been running a boat for 3 years. We're very cautious. It's funny you say that because I was fish co-angler in that MLF tournament where that guy slid down the ramp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just stuff like that scares me. So I'm definitely not. I think most people, especially in high school, if they're not very familiar, I've just seen them be very cautious. So hopefully that'll stay like that because that's a good thing.
Yeah, we've got good electronics now. It makes a big, big difference. Mm-hmm. The person that slid down the ramp, that person had plenty of experience. So the accidents are not just limited to the inexperienced.
Yeah, and a lot of times if you hit something that's floating that you can't see, you can't help it. But
no.
There is times you can't help it, but there's also times you probably running where you shouldn't be, and stuff might happen like that. So.
I heard a few stories about some folks getting stuck on a couple of the shallow humps down out in front of Preston, the ones that are like 6 inches deep when the water. And that might have been during practice. It seemed like I saw quite a few of the younger guys out fishing without parents, which is great. I think I got turned loose at about 16 in a 16-foot aluminum boat with a 50, nothing with a 250. But yeah, it's growing. I hope that. Everybody takes their time and learns how to read their electronics on these other lakes because Guntersville can be iffy, but some of the other places y'all go can be dangerous.
Yep. Absolutely.
Really dangerous, like Weiss and some of that Coosa stuff scares me. Mm-hmm. So, well, Fischer, we really appreciate you taking time to come on and talk with us today. Congratulations on the win. I hope you get another one. And just me personally, I hope you end up at Auburn fishing.
I don't know if I say that or not. You'll have to keep me updated on that part.
All right, Fischer, you have a great day. Thank you much.
You too. Thank y'all.
All righty, guys. We just want to say thanks again to Fischer for coming on. He seems like a great kid, and we just want to say congratulations. That's a heck of a bag, and I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of hope he don't go to Auburn fishing. I kind of hope he don't listen to you on that one, but no, really, I'm just kidding. But like I said, we want to say congratulations to him and his partner, Wells. It wasn't just him. He did have a partner, Wells Johnson, and congratulations to both of them, and that was a heck of a bag.
It was. 17 years old?
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
And his partner's a junior, so he's 16.
And his dad didn't put him on the fish?
Yep.
You know, that was one thing I was curious about. I mean, you're sitting there, you've got an adult with you that doesn't. Those guys went out and figured it out on their own.
Yep.
Now you get a little lucky. I mean, look, most of the time when you win tournament, particularly this time of year, it takes a little luck.
Yeah, but one thing I did notice that he said that really kind of stuck out to me is, and it's not nothing secretive or nothing like that, but you have to put in time to figure it out. As he mentioned, they saw birds diving.
Yep, I heard.
Well,
that.
just the average Joe when they see birds diving don't realize they're diving on bait.
I'm glad they looked up from their live scope screen long enough to see the birds.
Exactly. So for them to notice that and react to it and go fish it, that's pretty awesome to be 17 years old and already recognizing stuff like that.
I was hoping he was going to tell me they were out in the middle and he found a school of Smith Lake roamabouts, stuff that's just out in the middle of nothing. But still, the the wind had blown some bait up on the bank, and he saw the birds after it, went over there, and then he whacked them.
Yep.
So, tomorrow, Toyota Series.
Yep.
360 boats is what I was told. That's insane.
That's a lot of boats. But I did hear that they almost doubled the payout, correct?
$80,000 first place is what I was told. That's pretty big.
It is.
360 boats is going to be interesting. I almost don't think that's fair to the people that are fishing them all.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they capped it at 250 or 275, or I don't know how they upped it. At one time they weren't going to raise the payouts, and then somebody told me that they did. But it is what it is. They can lock through the wheeler. We talked about that last time.
Yep.
I haven't been over there. I can't tell you, but 360 boats. If you could go catch 20 pounds of fish below the dam,
I'd be getting away from that.
And somebody might.
That I would not put it past them. And I do want to point out, too, I don't know if you knew this or not, but if you fish the Toyota Series and you own a Phoenix that's 2 years old or newer, it's an extra $35,000 for bonus money.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yep.
I do not own a Phoenix. My boat is almost as old as you.
See, I have a Triton, but if I did have a Phoenix, I wish I did, I would be fishing the Toyota Series because $35,000, that pays for your boat. Not really, but
but it's a lick.
That's a lick.
If you're getting that, of course, if you could be fifth place if you're the highest finisher, right?
I don't know what they do on the highest finisher.
Okay.
I think they might do something for the highest finisher, but you have to win to get the $35,000.
But I bet you there's going to be a lot of Phoenixes in this thing.
I ain't no telling how many there'll be.
There'll be a whole lot. So.
I know a buddy of mine that works with me down there at GTO at Waterfront, Scott. He bought a Phoenix just pretty much for the sole reason that it's $35,000 extra dollars. He's a Ranger guy. He's always loved a Ranger, but which I did pick his brain today when I went by there, and he actually does love the boat. So, but he pretty much did it because $35,000 extra dollars if you win
crazy contingency.
It is, and he's like, how could you go pay for a Ranger and not get $8,000 or whatever when you can get $35,000 for a Phoenix?
Is that money extended all the way to the top to your uncle to the BASS pros?
I don't think the Bass does that. I think that's just a Toyota's
it's just MLF,
Toyota Series thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just Toyota.
I don't think they do it for the MLF. I don't know that for 100% fact, so don't hold me to that. But all I know is it's a guaranteed for the Toyota Series. If you have a Phoenix, it's $35,000 for bonus money.
If you win it, that's. But if you've got one 2 years or older, you've got a boat payment.
Yes,
they're not cheap.
They are not
cheap. So what's it going to take to win, Trey?
I think it with this rain. For you guys that are out of town, if y'all don't know, I think it's supposed to rain every single day this week. It's pouring down rain. I can almost hear it through my headset right here. But it's supposed to rain every day, so that's going to change some things up. And if it gets muddy, it could make it tough. But I still think 20 to 21 pounds a day will win it.
That's kind of where I am. Mm-hmm. I think the fish are probably going to bite a little better, but the overnight lows for the next 3 or 4 days are warmer than the water temperature.
Yep.
Now, the sun's not going to shine during the day much, so it's not, that's not going to warm it up a lot. But the fact that it's not going to be 25 degrees in the morning like it has been.
Yeah, that surface temp will come up. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is James Spann, which is a weatherman out of Birmingham who's very reliable. I follow him on Facebook. He described what's coming right now as a warm front, which normally means it's going to rain like cats and dogs. Mm-hmm. But those warm fronts could be a little bit – the rain could be a little warmer.
Yep.
I mean, it may actually raise the water temp a little bit that way.
Yep.
And if it doesn't get muddy, TVA is going to be pulling water.
Yep. They'll still bite. They'll still bite if it dirties up. But if it's muddy, like, you know, if it floods,
like Neely Henry,
it could be really tough.
I don't think Guntersville can get Neely Henry dirty.
I don't think it can either. Just with all the grass that filters the water, and it's just too big of a body of water and too wide to get as muddy as somewhere like Neely.
So big rain normally means big current. 360 boats. It's Tuesday through Thursday, so there's probably not going to be a whole lot of other people out in the rain on a Tuesday through Thursday. I could be wrong. People don't seem to work.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people work different hours, and everybody works from home now, so they get to fish a lot. But, yeah, I'm with you. I think 62, 63 pounds. Yeah, I think somebody might catch 23 or 4 pounds one day and then catch 18 the next.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be hard to be
I
consistent.
I think somebody could possibly catch 30 pounds. I just don't think they can back it up.
No, I agree.
You know, I think on average it'll take about 20 pounds a day. Is what I think.
We've
20,
not seen a
21.
30-pound bag this year yet.
Well, we've had a couple close
Yes.
in the Black Friday tournament.
Oh, yeah.
That was-
Well, yeah. Way back.
You know, not in the spring.
Right. And so things are going to be changing a lot over the next couple of weeks, hopefully, if the groundhog will get out of here and let winter leave. It's going to change. The patterns are going to start changing. When I talked to Paul this weekend, our baits that we were talking about using on the last one, which was the traps and the chatter baits and the square bills, that kind of stuff, it's pretty consistent. Jana mentioned that the big bladed chatterbaits, which I have not thrown, they've got a new one out that's got a big blade. Have you thrown one of them?
I haven't. I've seen them, but I haven't.
She said that people had been buying them a little bit more since the water got dirty.
Yeah.
I haven't used them. I saw them, thought it was a pretty neat concept, and I hadn't bought any yet. But what we're going to do now is we're going to call Captain Mike Carter, and we're going to let Mike tell us what's going to happen, and we may see what his take is on the Toyota series. Let me see if we can get him. Mike, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, we got Captain Mike Carter on. Mike is a guide on Guntersville. He guides for crappie, bass, probably anything somebody wants, but he is a crappie and a bass guy for sure. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started, and how long you've been guiding on Guntersville.
I've been guiding for 18 years now, and I fished tournaments all over the Southeast, traveled for, I guess, probably since 1989 when I started fishing tournaments heavy, and fished tournaments all the way up to 2002, 2003, and I kind of started backing off and started guiding some. And about 16 years ago, I made it full time. So I've been doing it full time for about 16 years now. Enjoying every minute of it. Enjoying meeting the people that I meet. It's a lot of fun.
I've seen on Facebook you've been catching quite a few crappie.
Yeah, we're doing good. We had a slow day yesterday, but I guess that's because there was probably right around 9,427 boats, give or take a few.
No, I think you're right. I was all over the lake a little bit Saturday, and it was like that. I actually saw you parked at the far end of the Mud Creek restaurant on your phone or something when I was coming in to go down there and tag at a little tag fish at a little tournament. Yeah. So you got the Jefferson's wrap boat, so it's easy to see you. So,
oh yeah, I really stand out now.
Yeah.
I've Jefferson's wrap for a few years now, but this white one I decided did, and man, it really sticks out. So I'm not hard to find on the lake anymore. So.
Oh, well, I don't pay any attention to that. And some people do, some people don't. But, it's good for you, good for your sponsors, that kind of stuff.
Well, it don't bother me. People say stuff about, they're easy to see me now, people follow me and all that stuff. Man, I've been doing this for a long time, and this is part of it. It's just a part of the process. And I don't own the lake, so, if people follow me around, that's just part of the deal.
Just that it.
If I was fishing the place I want to go to, well, that's why I'm a guide. I know more than one place to go to.
That's right. That's right.
I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. You said you had a white wrap. I do too. My Triton is white and blue and with a little bit of black, and it's wrapped in North Alabama Mortgage and GTO. And anyways, I'll be honest with you. Just like you said, it doesn't matter if it's wrapped or not. If somebody wants to follow you, they're going to follow you.
It don't matter, exactly. Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter. But before we get into the bass, let's touch on the crappie thing one more time. We haven't talked about that much yet. What kind of water depth are you catching crappie in this time of year?
It varies. It just all depends on the temperature of the water, the current. I'm averaging anywhere from 8, 10, up to 12 feet. But that's the most consistent. And, fishing these little creek mouths and current 80s, even some of the river ledges have current 80s on them. And I'm kind of sticking with them right now. I haven't really moved up into the creeks just yet. The water's been down real low, for the last couple of months, basically. And so I've been kind of staying out with some of the river stuff mostly.
So you think they're still in their winter pattern right now?
Well, the majority of them still are, yes. I mean, there's a lot of them already moved up into the creeks, but, I tried a little bit of creek fishing the other day, and it's kind of slow, and I moved down on the river, and we started catching them. So I think they're just fluctuating the water so much. They're just hanging out there right now. It's just more consistent. Plus, I mean, there's still a lot of bait out on that river, too. Still all these creek mouths and stuff that I go up to, I'm still finding a lot of bait. So they're going to follow that bait wherever it goes.
Right. And I guess the bass kind of follow that same pattern, don't they?
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt. Yeah.
And right now, for the most part, the river's not been chocolate like it has been the last couple of years.
Nope, no, it's not. It's got some color to it now. In fact, today I had a trip this morning, 4-hour trip this morning, and we kind of struggled up in the creeks. And I said, shoot, let's just go have some fun, catch some fish. And I can always get on that river, and I'm gonna catch some fish throwing an MR6 or an Echo crankbait. And today we got into them pretty good using MR6, and since they pulled that water down so far, it seemed like they pulled out on the deeper part of the grass on these little creek mouths and stuff. And so we did real good with MR6 today.
You like shad or red color, or what's your favorite this time of year?
I was using crawfish color today. Just it's Rayburn crawl that Rattle Trap makes. That's what we were throwing today. We threw the Echo some, but it seemed like they were right on the deeper side of the grass. We caught more in MR6. We did the Echo.
Just because it got a little lower, a little deeper down.
Yeah, I heard your comment last week about you just can't catch a fish on that Echo.
I can't. I was about to mention that.
I love that bait, man. I have caught some fantastic fish on that bait. I love it.
And I've seen your post talking about it, and every time I see it, I just shake my head. I'm like, I can't catch a fish on that thing. I guess I just don't throw it enough. Is it? Are you a slow wind with that? Are you pretty much, or is it a?
No, I don't give them time to think about it.
You move it.
Medium to fast, and when I feel grass, I'll jerk it and make it pop through that grass real good. And the biggest majority of your strikes will be those reaction strikes with it, and I've turned a lot of people on that Echo, man. It's a phenomenal bait. I love throwing that Echo. I've been throwing it now ever since they come out with it, and I've caught some big fish on that bait.
Well, I've seen pictures of them, and the fish was in its mouth. I mean, the bait was in its mouth. So there's no doubt. I mean, it's a. I guess I need to put a little more time behind it. I had one on before I chickened out and fished in the Rattle Trap tournament. I had one that I had found that was a silent one that I don't know if they still make. But
they're still silent ones. Yeah, I still like the one with the rattle in it. I've got some of the silent ones, and it may be a confidence issue. I've just caught so many fish on the original Echoes while I have the silent, but man, it's just the original Echo. There's several different colors I use. Cellmate, crawfish color, the Rayburn crawl. Mm-hmm. That's probably your two most common colors this time of year. If the water gets a lot of stain color to it, I'll either throw the red crawl or just a chartreuse shiner. And during the fall, there's not one color I use in the fall, and that's the Ghost Minnow, and I stay with that Ghost Minnow. And I've got probably a double handful of Ghost Minnows that have zero paint left on them. We're just scarred up so much.
That ghost color is kind of a translucent shad looking color.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a blue hint to it. It's kind of a green gizzard shad color, but it's transparent. And during the fall, when the water's so clear out on that river, man, it is a phenomenal bait up and down that river.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I'm kind of glad you touched on that, because a lot of people overlook that. When the water gets so clear, they want to throw something kind of bright, and a lot of times the fish don't like that. They when it's real clear, they like something almost see through. I mean, just about the clearer you can get it, the better.
You're exactly right. Yeah, and that Ghost Minnow's got just enough color to it, like on the back and on the side, and it's got just a real faint white belly to it, but it's mostly transparent. And, I've been using it ever since it come out, and that's just one of my favorite colors from fall all the way up into the winter before the water starts changing colors.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I think that just a little bit of hint of white or that little bit of off color, that almost is, for me, it seems like it just gives them something to aim for. The rest of it's clear, but and I've even caught myself like on a spook or a topwater bait or a crankbait, putting me a little dot on there just to give them something to aim for.
Yeah. Well, I had guided for a man a few years ago. He's fishing the Toyota Series. Jeremiah Cyphers was his name. I'd guided for him, a month or so before the tournament or whatever it was. It's been a while before the tournament. And I had put him on that pattern, which that pattern during that time, it was still hot. And so I told him, I said, trust me, when it comes around to your tournament, I said, it's going to be, a great pattern because you want to be consistent, come in with that 15, 17, 18-pound bag each day. And he ended up placing second in the Toyota. He led it the first 2 days, first 2 days running that pattern with that Ghost Minnow. And that last day, a guy beat him out by just ounces. A guy had caught a 6-pounder on top water that morning, beat him out by just ounces. But he was running that pattern, and he didn't know how many fish he caught each day, just running cuts from all upriver, all the way up into Island Creek, all the way up to Island Creek.
That's awesome. So you did fish the rattle trap tournament, correct?
Yes, I did. Yes.
You come in 18th, right?
I come in 22nd with 18 pounds.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my word. Okay, yeah. That kind of surprised me a little bit with them weights. But if you don't mind us asking it, what'd you catch them on the rattle trap tournament?
We was using a drop shot, 1-ounce rattle trap.
Yeah. Now there's the true bass fisherman.
That's
coming
right.
Out right
That's
there.
right.
He's been giving us some good info.
I thought I got him on the ropes. He was telling us all this good stuff, and then he hit me with a drop shot with a 1-ounce rattle trap. So that got me good.
No, Carolina and I she is a phenomenal girl, a great angler, and man, she does a fantastic. I mean, as cold as it was that day, man, she matched me cast for cast and just about fish for fish.
Mm-hmm.
We were throwing a 1/2-ounce chartreuse shiner rattle traps on grass edges, and we were just as fish them as slow as possible. When you feel that grass, we just pop it through that grass, and we caught a lot of fish that day. And what's funny about that, we come in with 18 pounds. I thought we'll get a top 10 finish.
Yeah,
you get 20 finish.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I went back out the next day. I had a guy cancel on me the next day. Oh, well, I'm going to go out there just to see what's there. The next day, the winds were calm, water was just perfect. I had just a real light breeze, and my best 5 would have been 25, 26 pounds next day.
Guntersville's fishing pretty good this year.
It's fishing very good this year. I don't know if the stocking program is really helping it. Over the last couple of years, we've done a little bit of stocking in the lake.
Right.
And I think, just people getting a little bit more conservative with it is starting to finally come back a little bit.
Yeah, and Guntersville's always going in cycles. You've been around here a long time. I have too. It has up and down years. You get a couple of years of bad spawns, and you and I had this conversation several years ago. Matter of fact, you put together a thing one time with some biologists there that yes. I sat in, and people that know a lot more than us came in and talked about it. They call it recruitment, but they came in and were talking about you get a couple of bad spawns, and 3 or 4 years later, you start feeling that you have a gap in an age class of fish, and that's where we were pushing for the stocking.
Yeah, that biologist made a very good comment to me one time. He said, "Mike, you got to look at something." He said, "You guys were spoiled. We had a very good recruiting year, there for a few years, and so many 3 and 4 pounders were getting caught. A lot of big fish were getting caught." He said, "During that time frame, you had a weight class that's more higher than average." And he said everybody got spoiled over that. He said the lake has actually gotten back to normal swing. And he said, but you're still spoiled on that earlier swing when we had so many fish were being caught, so many 30-plus pound bags were being caught. Mm-hmm. But you just got to look at it like, we're back in our normal swing now. And then he said people can't really accept that because they were spoiled from years ago. Yeah. And now it's come back to that we're seeing more numbers and better quality. I mean, we're catching some good healthy fish now. So I mean, it's just chunks.
Yeah. Did we get any shad kill out of those few cold weeks?
I did not notice any kind. If we got a shad kill, it was a minor one. I didn't notice anything.
We could use one, but there was in that rattle trap tournament. You were talking about getting a top 10. There was a dozen 20-pound bags.
I know.
And you ended up 20 something with almost 19. So, that's pretty strong. Now there was 244 boats in it. That's a lot of people that got really cold. So
well, last year we even had good weather last year, and we come in second in it, Carolina and I, and we got second place and only had a little over 19 pounds. So
it just changes. We talked about this on our first one a little bit, the eelgrass. Do you feel like the fact that there's always grass everywhere on the whole lake now, that there's still a lot of fish, they're just really spread out?
I do. I do. The only thing that this, the eelgrass, it has its ups and downs. The worst thing about the eelgrass is the floating eelgrass.
Sure.
It tears apart. But, it's smothered out so much of our hydrilla and milfoil beds. And that's one thing that we miss on the lake. This should be just a pristine, good color, good clear color lake. And but with so much eelgrass smothering out the hydrilla and milfoil beds, we don't have as much of a filter on the lake as we used to have.
Right.
And eelgrass doesn't hold oxygen like the hydrilla and milfoil does. So, but I mean, that's just going to be something we're going to be stuck with from now on. We'll never get rid of the eelgrass. It's going to be there from now on.
I agree. We got to learn how to fish and float eelgrass. I don't have the answer for that, but
Go back to the drop shot.
yeah, no, you're right. You're right. So, Mike, what you think it's going to take to win the Toyota Series?
Whew, wow. I'd say it's going to be 3-day total, probably mid-50s.
Mid-50s. All right, you're a little lower than our guesses, but there is 360 boats.
Yep, I think we're going to look at about a 3-day average of about mid to upper 50s. And I think that's where to be. I mean, you're going to have somebody's going to come in with these upper 20s bags, but I don't know if they can do it 3 days in a row.
That's exactly what we said.
Yeah, that's exactly what we said. Somebody may bust close to 30, but they may get 10 the next day. It's tough. We haven't seen a dirty 30 here recently, but. What's this weather going to do to the fish for these guys?
As warm as it is, I mean, they're going to push up. They're definitely going to push up shallow. I think tomorrow is going to be a real turning point for everybody to get a good bag, tomorrow, because the next 2 days, if we get as much rain as they say that we're going to get the next 2 days, it's going to be kind of struggle for a lot of people. If it were me and I was in this tournament, I would be sticking with deep grass lines every day. That deep grass is more consistent in the mid-lake area, and I think it's going to take a couple of days for it to muddy up. So you'll have a couple of days of consistent fishing, and you'll in the mid-lake area, mid-lake to lower end.
Right.
I will say, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think the winner of this tournament is they're going to prove themselves, because if you can fish, against 360 boats in these conditions, because as well as I do, at least in my opinion, I think that practice did not really matter that much in this event. It's going to change so much over the course of the days of the tournament, really. So they're going to deserve it. Whoever wins this is going to earn it. I mean, they're going to have to change every day, I feel like, and along with the pressure, just the conditions. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I couldn't agree more on that. That's a definite fact. Their practice is going to help out for tomorrow, the first day. There's no doubt about that. But after that, it's definitely going to be changed. Everything they've done throughout this past week is going to be thrown out the door. One of my favorite things to do, when it does this kind of weather, if it rains as much as they say it is, break out the flipping stick. Just get the flipping stick and go.
Yep.
But if that mid-lake to lower end, it takes a long time for it to really get muddied up.
It's deeper. Yeah.
And you can stay with those deeper grass lines, that mid-lake to lower end, and still stay consistent. And I think 3 days, I think it would stay consistent for the whole 3 days of the tournament. But, if you're going to upper end, going in the creeks or anything, you might as well break out the flipping stick and get shallow, But
what are you going to be flipping shallow if you were doing that? Stumps, logs, lay downs on the creek beds, what?
Go down the list. All the above.
All of the above, yeah.
As well as I do, when the water raises like that and it starts getting colored, they just go to anything and everything. If there's a stick in the water, you better flip to it. I mean, they just get on absolutely everything.
Exactly right. Back in the 90s when I fished tournaments so heavy, we would have these flooded situations. That's the only rod I would have out, flipping stick. And I would go to creeks like Mud Creek and Town Creek. Back then, Raccoon Creek was very good. And I just picked me out a bank that had a little bit of structure on it, and that's where I would stay, then because the water was always up in that structure, basically almost at the edge of the woods.
Right, and they just stick their nose on it, right? When it's like turning out the lights. They just go the first thing they can get close to. So,
yeah, that's it.
That's good info. So you mentioned something about changing, the weather changing and stuff like that. This time of year, over the next week or two, and we're doing this podcast every 2 weeks. So between now and 2 weeks from now, things normally change. What's going to change over the next couple of weeks, in your opinion, assuming it warms up?
They're going to move up. They're going to move up quick. I mean, they're already started trying to move up until the day they dropped that water so much in the last couple of days. It seemed like it pulled them back out. But with the water temperature today was in the 50s. It's averaging in the low 50s. So you got this warm water now, and these fish are going to start moving up trying to spawn.
Yeah.
And this bite, I mean, I'm talking, churning mud with a trolling motor bite. It's going to turn on big time. And now with this rain coming in, raising the water back up, if they don't drop the bottom back out of it, you're going to see this shallow bite turn on wide open. It's going to get right. Swim jigs, chatterbaits. I love throwing a swim jig this time of year. It's one of my favorite things to throw this time of year. Getting into pad stems and primrose and all that, and just running a swim jig around. We've catched a lot of phenomenal fish this time of year doing that.
I was just about to ask you all those questions, and you answered them without me having to do it. So that's fantastic. I just can't thank you enough for that. So
yeah. Well, my best was 12 pounds. One of Governor Bentler come up, had his picture took with him. I think his official weight was 1197. The replica of that fish is a goose pond. It's at Goose Pond now.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I caught that in 2 feet of water on a Royal Red swim jig. So,
really, yeah. Well, in late February, early March.
It was March the 6th. I think it was March the 6th. I believe it was 2013.
2013. We've had at least one double-digit fish that I know of caught. Josh Butler, not the FLW pro Josh Butler, the mortgage banker Josh Butler, caught an 11.9, I think, the other day. Paul at Waterfront videoed it. Or he brought it in and showed it, and Paul took a video and talked about it. But
well, there's a guide. Shoot, I forgot his darn name now. The Lure Men Guide Service.
Yeah,
and he's a good friend of mine. I can't think of his darn name now. But anyway, he caught one yesterday that weighed 1060. I think it was 10.75
on Guntersville.
On Guntersville, yeah.
On Guntersville.
I need somebody to teach me these weighs, because I'll go out here and throw my chatterbait around and catch 3 that weigh about 3 pounds apiece, and I must just be lost.
Well, it depends on what kind of chatterbait you're using.
Well, I'm using the jackhammer. I don't feel like there's any other one to throw other than that one.
Oh, yes, there is.
Mike's got one.
That might be where I've been messing up.
Mike's got one named after him.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's called Custom Carter Shaker.
Well, I might have to get one of them off air.
Well,
he can point you in the right direction. I can assure you. I can assure. And he's caught a lot of fish on that thing now.
You ain't kidding. I've caught some big fish. I've got an 11. I know I've got one over 10, and probably no. I've got several right there close to that 10-pound range. The 8-9 pound range, and it's all come on that shaker. And if you compare the two baits, and I'm not putting down a jackhammer at all. Jackhammer's got its place, and it does good. But the one I designed, it's got a weed guard on it. It's got a long shank hook on it for you to put a swim bait on it, and you can throw it in primrose, lily pad stems, lay downs, anything you want to. You're not going to get hung up.
Mm-hmm. Is that like a 3/8 ounce you're throwing in that depth?
Most of the time, it depends. I'm throwing that 3/8 if I'm using something like a shad color, if I'm putting a swim bait on the back of it. But biggest majority of the time, if I'm throwing that shaker this time of year, especially, I throw a 1/2 ounce because I'm putting a crawl on the back. Mm-hmm. And I like that crawl. And, in that 1/2 ounce, it helps you get down in that water column a little bit. A 3/8 with a crawl is going to ride at the top of the water column.
I was just about to say something with a paddle tail or kickers that makes it rise. So,
yes. And the difference you're going to notice between mine and a jackhammer is the vibration. There's a tremendous difference in the vibration of the two. The jackhammer's got a real tight vibration to it, where mine's got a knocking vibration to it. The blade actually, a lot of times, like if you're going through lily pad stands, the blade will actually hit the head of it, and it makes that knocking noise. And if you torque it pretty good, like jerking it through stuff, it'll really knock. So it's caught a lot of big fish on that thing, man. So
every time I've thrown a chatterbait in lily pad stems, I caught a lily pad stem.
That reminds me almost like the way you explained it. It's almost like I'm a crankbait guy. I love it. I like winding down the bank, but it's almost like I treat a DT6, a Rapala DT6, or a Strike King 1.5. So like DT6 is a real tight wobble. It's better in cold water, and then the 1.5 is neither one of them's better than the other. They both just kind of got their time and place.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, that MR6, I love that MR. It's the same thing as the DT6. It's just the rattle trap version of it, and got a little bit of different design to it, but it's got the rattles inside it. And man, I love that bait. It's like I said, that's what we were using today. And I know Pat, I'm going to have to get him out one day and show him how to use an Echo.
You're going to have to. You're going to have to. What pound line do you throw that Echo on?
Well, having clients on board, I usually use a 12-pound test. I like to do 10-pound, but with clients, I try to do the 12-pound because occasionally clients like to try to torque it a little bit too much. And but my main go-to size line for myself would be 10-pound.
Man, that's light.
Well, 10-pound just allows it to get a little bit deeper. If I'm, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it just lets it get a little bit deeper than it would on 12 or 14. So
It's a big difference. If you get out and fish with it, and especially during the fall and early winter, that 10 to 12 pound, there's a big difference in the two. I mean, it makes about a foot difference in the depth. And to me, I think it's just the fish see it less, and the numbers will surprise you. It's switching from a 12 to 10 pound.
Yeah, see, 15-pound line is light for me. That's just, and that's fluorocarbon, but 15 light. I'll throw a big crankbait on 12 or 10 if I have to. But the way those plugs are now, you don't have to use as light a line as you used to. So
that's my favorite way to catch them is on the 10XD during the summertime, and I never throw less than 14.
Well, those are huge.
Yeah.
About a 10XD when I got a bull shad in my hand.
I've seen Mike's bull shad work. Let me tell you something. That come June, you watch. He can put on a clinic with that.
I will say I've become a fan of the little one. I'm not a big fan of the big one because I suck with it, but if I can say that on air, but the smaller one I actually do like. I fell in love with that little thing.
Yeah, that big bull shad. But I like the bull wake. I mean, the bull wake, you won't catch as many fish on the bull wake as you will the bull shad. But the ones you get on that bull wake, man, are just phenomenal. And the hits on that thing is just, there's nothing compares to how hard they hit that bull wake.
Yeah, he sold every tackle store in North Alabama out of them a few years in a row now.
I promise. I work at Waterfront. Yeah, they get gone. Get gone. One or two posts, and everybody's like, where are they at? And I'm like, you're going to have to fight that guy that just went out the door because he got the last one.
That's turned into a heck of a summertime thing.
I noticed when I was down there a couple of weeks ago that y'all had a real good supply of both bull shad and bull wakes.
We did. I think we just about quadruple ordered this year, trying to keep away from the not running out of them. I don't know if that's going to work once they start biting it and you start posting pictures, but we did order a lot.
One thing about Paul and Jana at Waterfront and GTO, they're going to have baits.
Yep.
They're not scared to buy them and sit on them until Mike makes a post that says, "Hey, they're biting it," and then they're all gone.
Yep.
So,
that's it. I send everybody down there, and last year y'all run low there. Even Scottsboro Tackler run low, and I think Scottsboro made their first order last year before you guys did, and it was no time they were gone.
Right,
but y'all have that time, and y'all finally got them in. When y'all finally got them in, it didn't take long to get for y'all to be gone also.
Yep, they get gone quick.
I told Paul last week, I said, you need to make a post about this so I can share it. I said, because trust me, it's just around the corner. It's not long before it gets started.
That's right.
That's a big postpone thing for you, really, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is a postpone pattern. I kind of judge it right around mid-May, mid to end of May. And once it starts getting warm, man, that's, I kind of feel like, when people get in the boat and they got this big bait in their hand and they know that there's that possibility of getting a big Lake Guntersville bass, with something like that in their hand versus small plastics or anything like that, but they're throwing a big bait like that. And a lot of people I have to kind of work with to show them how to cast it. But once they learn how to cast it, they enjoy it. They have a ball.
Mike, I can't thank you enough. You have provided fantastic information. I've learned some stuff. And I'm gonna take you up on that, teaching me how to catch a fish on an echo deal, because I think I caught one once on one of them, but I'm not real sure. But
these next few days, that would be one of my favorite patterns. As far as just catching a lot of quality fish, is when you get all that rain, that like current coming down, and it's creating the current eddies in the mouths of these creeks. You take that echo and burn them creeks up, man, you're going to catch fish. You're going to catch a lot of fish.
I believe it. I'm just too stubborn to do it. Hey, well, I sure do appreciate it, Mike. I can't thank you enough. And I hope everybody that listens to this really enjoys all the information that you provided. I think it's some pretty good stuff. So I hope to have you on again. We'll be back in touch. I really do appreciate it. Have a great day.
Yeah, man. I enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, thanks again to Mike for coming on. That was top-notch information. Not everybody's going to tell you the type of stuff that he did, I don't think. Everybody we brought on has, though.
That's right.
We're going to run through the stuff that's coming up. We've been talking a long time today, kind of by accident, but there was a lot of stuff to talk about. So this next weekend, there is another high school tournament out of Goose Pond. It's a 2-day. Cheryl at Goose Pond told me that they were expecting about 150 boats for 2 days. You got a Blount County Rescue Squad tournament at the state park. You got a National Bass Trail NBT Guntersville Division. That's run by Jack Morris, going out of Waterfront, and a crappie tournament out of Waterfront. Fishing for a Mission. It's a fundraiser. I believe they're based out of Scottsboro. Mm-hmm. So they've had a couple. They're raising some money for some local charities. Then you've got on Sunday, again, the Money Monday tournament's on Sunday this weekend. They're doing an afternoon Sunday tournament. I think it runs from 12 to 6. Mm-hmm. March 1st, Bass Cash Bash. Don't be that guy. Sign up at basscashbash.com. Guntersville Tackle, Waterfront, Victory Sportsman, Goose Pond on the weekends when they're open. Tackle Trap, Freedom Marine, and I may be leaving somebody out. If I am, I'm sorry. But if you register online, you still have to go pick up your T-shirt at a store. You don't have to have your T-shirt. Just get it when it's convenient. You don't have to have it. So that is for the bonus. Then the next weekend after that, which will be the weekend before our next podcast, there's a MLF college fishing tournament out of the state park on Friday. So there'll be a bunch of those folks. That's March the 4th. Then there's an MLF high school tournament out of the state park the next day. They bring the trailer to town and line them up. They did the same thing last year. You got ABA couples. Honeycomb Wildcat kicks off. That tournament's been going on since the beginning of time. Mm-hmm. It's out of the back ramp at Honeycomb. Those guys catch them. Yep. They'll have 20 boats, 30 boats. You got a Sylvania Rounds Bass Classic out of Goose Pond. That's an open tournament. That's Sunday, 3-6. You've got a Heartland Anglers. And then the Money Mondays, Wildcat starts being on Mondays from Safe Light till noon. Information for all these tournaments can be found at the bassandbiggg.com website. Most of those, there's information. If you click on it, it pops up, tells you who to call or how to register and stuff like that. So I believe Trey was going to touch on something we left out.
Yep, I did want to touch on it. We talked about the Rattle Trap tournament, and y'all just going to have to bear with us. We get to rambling on, talking about stuff, and skip it. And I did want to point out, too, if we skip some tournament results somewhere here and there, you can find the tournament results on Bass and Big G also, right?
Correct.
So you can find the results. If we happen to miss over some, we apologize. We just get rambled on. But I did want to touch on the Rattle Trap tournament had a kayak division this year. There was 38 anglers in it, and Sam Cox won with 93 inches and 5 fish. Not quite sure what that weighs, but I did hear he had one almost 21 inches and one almost 20.
Yeah, right
around that. So that's a good fish. I don't know what they would weigh, but they were 93 inches long and 5 fish.
Would you have wanted to be in a kayak in 23-degree weather?
Absolutely not. They are tougher than I am.
Absolutely. Well, we certainly appreciate everybody that tuned in. We cannot say thank you enough for the positive feedback that we've gotten over the last 2 weeks. Both Trey and I have had a ton of people message us, reply to posts on social media, stuff like that. We really appreciate it, and we've rambled for twice as long as we did last week. Hopefully y'all still enjoyed that. You can check us out on YouTube, any podcast app of choice, and on the bassandbiggg.com website. And until next time, in 2 weeks, check us out and give us a like, share, tell your friends. Thank you much.